Hello, guys. This is Alex, and I'm coming back into the YouTube, um, universe. And this is my second video since coming back. And I have heard your feedback. I have heard some of the things that you are interested in knowing what's going on in Panama, especially on the real estate side, but also on the business side of things. The main reason that we are kind of, I would say, revamping the consulting company and the brand, it was before all about me as a real estate agent, opportunities in Panama, especially things that we were working with. For example, a concept in the beach where we as a team, the consulting company, we as a team decided that we could do some sort of joint venture and actually make something incredible for investors outside of the country, as well as, let's say, I would say like beginner investors for real estate that could skip in a way the the hard part of it, the hard part of really investing um, in real estate here in Panama. And it has evolved. The whole thing has evolved. From that experience, we learned a lot of the responsibilities that needs to be very well drilled in order for you to get the appropriate support and for the business plan to actually work. And in working with this, I would say not truly developers, not like established developers like Empresas Bern or Durex Group, and so many of them that are very, very good. It was a little bit more about establishing relationships in a way with people that wanted to create something interesting with what they had um, in properties, for example, beach properties, mountain properties that were not developed, right? So we took that and we started to understand there is a problem where you don't have the whole 9 yards kind of strategy, where the owner might think that he knows better than you and he could maybe skip some laws, maybe skip some steps because it will take more money to do them the proper way. And thus, it's why the whole thing we're trying, I understood a lot of where the spaces were and where the faults were. And instead of just like, you know, giving the responsibilities to somebody else and telling them you are in the wrong, we started to see where the steps were for um, a proper strategy for the lands, right? In this case, the lands, and in some other cases, properties that were abandoned, and the owners were like, well, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know if XYZ excuses. And when they went into the business with us, they started to think that it was not necessary to do some to do some permits, I mean, or to do the proper marketing for them, the messaging, the copywriting, the audiovisuals, everything that comes into the sale, especially I think a lot of ego involved for their side in a way that they were kind of sabotaging themselves. Um, I don't know why. So instead of like, I could go and cry on the corner, right? And tell myself, this is not gonna work. I started to meet with other realty people, realtors, agents, photographers. We started to create some sort of clique. And in this clique, we started to see all the legal things that we needed to do. I'm an attorney as well. With this experience, I started to understand even more about real estate procedures and permits, what's needed to be done, zoning, all these things that sometimes get overlooked. We started to work with financial groups that understood the exact cost that you need for something to be viable, to be, that your money, that you understand that your money is gonna actually get returned. And that's part of the rock and roll spirit that we wanted to install, especially for you guys, foreign investors. I have talked before about the ugly truths in Panama, and yeah, I mean, I wanted to both warn people that were coming into the country without a proper consultation and advisory on the real estate side of things, and also the relocation side of things you need to consider where you're moving to any country, and how this country works in terms of legal, for business, in terms of buying properties, in terms of where should I put money in. And most of the advice that I see is either from real estate agents that want to sell you something, from developers that want to sell you something, and even attorneys that want to sell you something. How come? Because some attorneys do have relationships with property owners, and you do need to invest up to $300,000, or from $300,000 in real estate or something similar, investing in the country, so you can obtain the visa, right? So all these little things you need to take in consideration. So that was around 2016, 17, where I put out the ugly truths of the Panama real estate market, why the bubble burst. And most of the things are still, most of the considerations, let's say, that I told you guys about back then are still relevant today. But even a little bit more complicated on the legal side. Corporations are a little bit harder now to establish, and some of the time I believe that even sometimes not necessary. Um, so yeah, Panama Papers was complicated in that sense, in the corporation sense, corporate law sense, and how business work now. And yeah, I mean, that's one thing that happened in the legal side of things. But on the let's invest in Panama and buy a property, an apartment, and it's gonna 10x in 10 years. Like I said back in 2016, it's the same. So thank God I was not wrong. Hopefully you guys saw that video before investing in Panama and understood that you were not really investing. You were just buying something that you liked. And that's totally fine as well. It's not that you're losing an investment, it is that that 10x claim is not real anymore. It used to be real back in 2000 and up to 2015 probably. It was not that bad, but I started to see the trend where people bought like 10 apartments and then you couldn't even sell them. And then rents went down even further. So if you had like a bank letter that you had to pay every month, bank payments, you, the rent didn't even cover that, or a good part of it, which could become another strategy, right? where you can say like I have 20% that I can pay. For example, let's say you are paying $1,000 a month to the bank on the mortgage, and you can pay 200, right? So if the rent is 800, it could be fine. It could be a strategy that you're implementing because you're investing in yourself and your property, because eventually it will rent for more, or this property is gonna gain some sort of appreciation in time that gets you a better deal. But what really is happening in the city is that there's so many new things coming on, so many inventory, that so many units, I guess, that it's not as easy as it used to be. And now you have to pay attention to depreciation. So it's not that things are going up, it's that things are going down. And if you have like a building, for example, uh, we have a family office as well, the Garrido family office, where we have a ton of property, fincas, houses for rent. We have apartments for rent, for Airbnbs, short-term rentals. So we do know how these models actually work because we work on them, and we don't like to lose money, or for people that are our clients in proper consulting and the law firm to lose money or have a bad strategy because it's just a bad rep for Panama. We don't want that. We just want for you guys to understand that the same will happen to me if I gonna move to Miami, Florida. I know there is many interesting projects going on with solid return on investments, and also I know that there will be people that don't want you to succeed. They will take your money, they will tell you stuff that are not gonna happen for you to buy. They will get a commission and that's it. So this is not about ranting or telling negative things about the country, because there is many good professionals in Panama. But what I'm seeing is that even more bad apples have become apparent, and they tell you one thing and they do another thing, because again they want to sell you something. So what we are doing in proper consulting is being neutral. We want your best interest at heart. So when you like buy something or you want to know about something, like how much is this worth, I'll tell you the truth. That's what I've been doing in the past years. That's why I've been a little bit quiet on this front. And I didn't want to open the discussion so much that it became like we're attacking the country. So I needed to find an angle, and I have worked for some of the, I'll say, the franchises that the US have brought to Panama. I will not mention them because it's not relevant, I believe. But I knew how things were inside as agents, and myself as an agent, and I just didn't like it. They were selling stuff that I don't agree with. And I think that the coming years, proper professionals, honesty, transparency will begin to be the most important factor in deciding if you're going to hire somebody that is going to be your mentor, your consultant, your advisor in any given area. That includes relocation. How do I, you know, incorporate something that doesn't cost me like $1 million to do? What about if I want to invest a couple of million of dollars? I will ask you stuff like, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to retire? Do you even need to invest these $2 million? Is this $2 million the only thing you have? Is that the entire amount of your um, retirement fund? What I'm gonna ask you stuff that you need to think about in order to have the best decision for you. You'll need to understand what type of investor you really are. Are you a new investor? Then you have to take in consideration the risk. Is this very risky? Is this sort of risky, medium risk? Or is this very low risk and it's very, it will give you 4%, 5% in the period of 1 year? Or is it something more aggressive like 20%, 25%? And you need to understand what it means, like on the inside of the structure, what it means for you, how much work you need to do, the roadmap you have to follow, and where do you get the professionals to execute. All these things will depend on you, really, on the context of you as the investor or as the construction company or the developing company, that you're from Mexico, you're from the United States. It doesn't really matter. But what matters is how you work and what you want to see. And that's where we come in. We want to be the first step before you take the next one. So if I want to invest in Panama, let me tell you how, depending on your needs and not depending on my commission, because I won't. I don't need a commission anymore. I just flipped the script and told myself, how do I help more people without needing to get a commission on the other side? So that's why I started the consulting company. And I'll say that this first pre-recorded video will be more about how we can help you guys. And I think we're gonna create content every Friday, so you guys see like the updates on Panama, like 1 to 5 updates that you might need to know before investing. I'll say I will answer any questions you have, like we did before. We're just trying to be more professional. I heard your feedback on my younger self, how I was expressing and communicating, and even though I'm a Latin American and sometimes I'm foul-mouthed, I don't think that's necessarily authenticity. So I just became a little bit better. Thanks guys for the feedback, and I don't need to do or say bad words as much anymore. Sometimes I will get passionate about something and I will say some F words. So I'm sorry for that. But I will try to keep this very professional, and even though I'm a little bit rock and roll myself, some of my partners are very, very serious people, attorneys, 60 plus years. And yeah, they just told me that that's an easy thing to do to become a little bit better in my communication. So I think I will keep myself authentic. I will always tell you guys what's going on in my mind and how I see strategy, how I see roadmaps that you need to understand for your better investing in Panama, and even in some other countries, because some of the real estate concepts, like for example these books, rental property investments, building wealth one house at a time, which involves a little bit of house hacking, stacking, that sort of real estate models. And I mean, we have also the cash flow part of real estate investing, which is more like the criteria you should try to know. And these books are very American books. It's a very different place. I wish that we have some of the, I'll say, financial options that you get in the United States. There are better interest rates if you have better credit, things like that. But we're in Panama, so some of the things are a little bit harder here. Banking is very different. Options to get your house or to get a property and get even a bridge fund or a bridge loan. I mean, bridge loans, mezzanine loans, all those financial things are a little bit harder in Panama. You kind of need to have something to put on guarantee. We have been seeing even people that are willing to give you their lands as guarantee for a fee. So there are many things happening in the country, many ways to create your business or your real estate business or entrepreneurship. You can see it in many different ways. It depends on who you are and what you're really looking for. Some of my clients only do house hacking because they wanted to live somewhere else and they wanted to understand how to get a credit and to get a house, and then how do I live for free. So we advise them on house hacking. Then we have some people that are looking for properties like fincas or lots, and the way it depends where it is. Obviously, if it's in the city, it will be a different sort of strategy. Maybe you need something that is going to be more vertical. And there is some that, for example, will come to Panama to get a finca, like a big one, 20 hectares, and that will mean something around the figure of, let me check out this in acres, but I think it is, so 20 hectares in acres for you guys in the US, it's 49.42 acres. So it's quite big, and what you do with this type of properties right now, as it was a couple of years ago, is still social interest house or low income housing, up to $70,000 right now, is the way to go. It's the easier way to get something sold. But this is a development, so do you even want to be a developer, or you want to invest in a construction company that develops your land? It's still a difficult thing to do. So you need to be more ambitious. You kind of need to be very active in this. It's not going to be a passive income type of thing. That's more on the side of short-term rentals, Airbnbs, that sort of things, a little bit easier, but still active. It's not that you're not gonna work for Airbnb. You need to work. You need to attend people, hospitality type of business. It's not easy as well, but I believe it's easier. It's a little bit easier than dealing with construction companies, with costs, hidden costs, things that you didn't know. There are many things that, even though if you do a very, very thorough investigation, some things will go wrong, right? And you need to understand this is very normal in construction. So that's the level of risk that you're dealing with in some of the business models for real estate in Panama. Also, you can be just investing in development. The things with developments is that you kind of, like, think about it. You're kind of in the hands of them. What if they don't do anything to get this appreciated? What if the development group just go poof and doesn't care that much about a certain project? Or projects like, I won't mention any names because this is not the video for this, but some properties, some development, gated communities especially, I believe that things get stalled by the own managers of the property itself, of the gated community, not the people that invested or bought a land to get a house, or to build a house, or to do some Airbnb business. It's more about the way that you imagine you have these 50 lots, but you only got 10 clients. you still have 40 lots to sell. And if I don't do anything about it, and then these other 10 people want to now sell 10 years after, but still have 40 lots, you can start like the customers, you guys, you will get like, you'll say like, okay, I bought it for $10 per square meter, let's sell it for 20. It's possible. In land, it's a little bit easier, especially if the development, kinds of continue to grow. There's value added. Many things have to happen as well. It's not like just because. But let's imagine that things happen, right? It's getting better. Roads are getting better. All these little things add up to the value, and then you decide, let's sell for 20. It's not crazy. But then the developer says, well, I'm going to sell the other 40 lots for 12. So it's kind of, you need to take those into consideration when you're trying to invest anywhere, but especially Panama. What else can I say in this first video? There's many things we need to talk about. There is many business models that you can achieve success in Panama with, but most of them are going to become tailor-made for you. That's kind of my job here in Proper Consulting. How do I get you guys to invest in a piece of land, in an apartment, in a house, depending on what you need to do or what you're thinking, right? So I'll try to get deep into what you really want out of this investment so that you get the actual result that you're looking for. And this is really important because some people, back in the days of the beach property that we help with, we had some clients that were looking to retire and at the same time buy a hotel. So I'm like, do you really want to retire or do you want to have a job? Are you like coming to Panama to hire some people to do the job in the hotel and then you kind of live there or live nearby? Or is it more about really retiring in a beach community that is similar to you, like like-minded people? And they were like vegans. They had this yoga type of vibe going on, very active people. So I'm like, yeah, I don't see you guys in Bocas. I not throwing shade to Bocas. Bocas is a beautiful place, but it's more like surfing. It's a little bit more about the Caribbean lifestyle. It's more about dancing, partying a little bit. So I understood that these guys will have not the proper time there, right? It's not what they were looking really for. Instead, I mentioned Benau. I think like this is a little bit more on your alley. And they went to both places. That was my recommendation. It's kind of obvious, but I needed them to understand by themselves that I was not that throwing some random advice. And like go here and see where you really want to live. Look at the vibe of the place, of the destination, and see if you really want to retire there or you want to have a job there. Especially in Bocas because it's a very touristic place. There is some of I'll say like they are called cooperativas, which mean like there is some cooperations within tourism operators. So you kind of need to get into it to actually have a touristic operation there, a hospitality operation there that makes sense for you, right? Instead, by now it's a little bit more free, more flowy. it was easier to do an Airbnb business. So I told them like get a lot for 60K, something like that, and then build on top of it like 4 or 3 cabins. You live in one, the other ones you put on Airbnb. It's perfectly legal in Benau to do Airbnbs. It's not legal in this city, especially if you are um, you some buildings have like the U, and I forgot the others, but some of those buildings do have the permit to do Airbnb because they have the auto license. Most don't, and most will have to go through the home owners association to be even considered, but it's still not legal, really. So yeah, some things that you have to take in consideration. So any questions? I know I've been a little bit broad about the whole things, the introduction video, I will say. I did a live video before, but we're trying to find the, I'll say the different sides of the business so it can be better prepared. But we're taking any questions. Consider ourselves the proper consulting people that will tell you everything that we can. We want to be as good or better than what we have been reading about, for example, Sapos, that they had like this amazing customer service. They will tell you like anything that you wanted to know in terms of Panama. And I think we want to do that as well. If you want to ask me about, for example, where's the best tacos in Panama, the best pizza, schools for your kids where you're moving to Panama, where can I find investors to, if you are a real estate entrepreneur, maybe you don't have the whole bucket of money, you need investors. Do you need to know where they are? Of course, we do have people for that. There is entities for this. How the banking system works. We can think about what about zoning? What about special places like Casco and Panama Pacifico? What about land banking, which I love that. It's very interesting concept, land banking. What about conceptualization for my business or my property? Maybe you are already an owner. You want to know a little bit more how you can make that work. Anything else, like really, just ask us anything. We're truly, we truly want to do something that is honest, transparent, proper consulting. So everything that you want to ask, we're more than willing to just do the research, ask our partners where we can find whatever you're looking for, and just give you a straight answer on any questions you have, right? And in terms of services, you can always go to our website, alexgarridos.com. You can do an appointment with me, of course. We can have a discovery call first to see if we even can help you, if we're the right fit for you. And then if you are, we can work together, or we can even find you somebody that actually does the work that you're trying to achieve. And yeah, just kind of grow together with you and your necessities, your needs, your business needs, your family needs, your education needs, for you or your children. And yeah, just honest, transparent, proper consulting. So also next Friday, this is Cinco de Mayo, so happy Cinco de Mayo. We'll say that, yeah, I'm gonna do some like very thing first, like 5 bullet points that it's kind of an update on the country. For example, if there is something going on with restaurants, or there is a special area that is booming that you need to consider when you're coming to Panama. those sort of things. I'm gonna keep you updated on those and get you the best, real estate intelligence that we can find. And yeah, just plain business, and for you guys to have enough data so you can make the best decision for you and your business. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll tell you the truth. So there will be some ugly truths coming. There will be the bullet points, but we also will tell you guys about the positive, because there is positive things as well. So stay tuned and see you next Friday.